Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 158.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
Okay, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you are here. Hopefully, you have been enjoying the fact that we are finding the experts who are out there to help you and I get in front of more customers, build our business, and most importantly, grow that cash flow. I mean, if you have a building go vacant, the one thing you're looking for quickly is a renter, and we can call those customers too. There are so many strategies these days. There's so much to learn, so much to know. How on earth are you ever going to stay on top of them? Well, here's how you're going to do it. You're going to pick one, stick with it, make it work, and then go to the next one. And we have another expert for you today in a completely different area you may not even have thought of or expecting. I know for us, it's going to be new. I know it's definitely something that I personally have an interest in, and you know we do this from time to time. So today, we're going to be talking about finding that perfect customer all on LinkedIn. You're like, linked what? LinkedIn, it's the social network. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and we have today's expert is going to help us with that. His name is Josh Turner. Is the founder of Linked Selling, a multiple seven-figure agency recognized as the best keyword LinkedIn marketing firm in the world. This is code for he knows LinkedIn better than you and I. So let's make sure we ask him all the questions we can find. And here's where we're going to do it, guys. We're going to do it so sneaky. He's going to give us all of his secrets right now. So make sure you break out that pen and listen to Mr. Josh Turner. Josh, you there?
I am, man. Excited to get into it and share all my secrets.
Yeah, good, because we just made a promise right there. So, you know, one of the things that I love about being an entrepreneur is that we get to identify problems and solve them. And obviously you solve them in a very specific way using a very specific tool and network, etc. However, I also look at today's entrepreneurs, of which obviously you are one. A lot like yesterday's superheroes, you know, and when you talk about Batman and Superman and the Flash and, you know, Green Arrow, what have you, they dress up and they wear masks occasionally and capes, and they use special equipment from time to time to save people and help improve their lives in various different ways. And I think entrepreneurs do the same thing. However, all of them have a backstory. They started somewhere, that maybe they got bit by a spider, got dosed of radiation, you know, all kinds of things happened to them before they decided to use their powers for good. So before we find out about how you were able to grow a multiple seven-figure agency and make LinkedIn happen, what I would really love to know, we want to know, who is Josh Turner?
Yeah, sure. Well, I have been bitten by many spiders over the years. I will admit that. And, you know, what I mean by that is that I started, dipping my toe in the entrepreneurial pool, if you will, many, many years ago. But it wasn't until 5 years ago that I actually went out on my own full time and really went for it 100%. But it was those experiences along the way leading up to that of just kind of trying things out at night and on the weekends, you know, and failing at pretty much all of them. All right. And then working in businesses at a really senior level and having a big part to play in growing, you know, one company from 5 to 23 million, and then seeing that company crash all the way down to nothing and have to close its doors. So all those experiences, successes and failures, I think positioned me well by the time I was really ready to go for it 100%. And when I first started out, working for myself, I was working as a freelance CFO. So like a part-time finance guy for small businesses that don't want to or can't afford a full-time finance guy, right? And so I was essentially a business consultant working for companies here in St. Louis. And one of the reasons that I was successful growing that company was that I was pretty aggressive using LinkedIn. And I was a pretty early adopter of LinkedIn all the way back to 2006. And so by the time I started my business in 2010, I had a real solid foundation to launch off with. Fast forward to 2011, I had a couple clients that had noticed some of the marketing I was doing for my business on LinkedIn and said, hey, I think some of this stuff might work for us. What do you think? And I kind of laid out a plan for them of what they could do, and they looked at me like I was cross-eyed and said, how about you just do that for us? And that was the beginning of link selling in 2011, and the business has really taken off since then. It turns out that there's a lot of other companies like that want our help building lead generation campaigns for them, leveraging LinkedIn.
Yes, I like this a lot. Now, you don't know this, but you just stumbled into one of the number one questions that I get all the time. And I'm so glad you're here because many people have asked me time and time again. And I know, like, if I don't ask you this question, we're going to get so much hate mail. It's not even funny. So they ask me all the time because I'm always talking and stressing the value of my team, and specifically the value of my CFO. And people have asked me, Jay,
Sure.
How do you find a CFO? How do you find a CFO? Now, here's the interesting thing. Even though I am 100%, I am willing to admit this, I am not the normal person and when it comes to learning, using LinkedIn. That is not something I know how to do at this particular moment in time. However, 100% of the time, every time someone has asked me, Jay, how do you find your CFO? I always answer, go to LinkedIn and type in CFO for hire and start there. Now, that's the extent of the advice I've ever been able to give. But now that I have you, I want you to answer. If I'm looking for that CFO, how are we to do that? What would you do?
I would talk to some other business owners that I know in the area, and I would ask them for referrals. I think your strategy is great to just get a list of the potential suspects that are out there that you could potentially engage with.
Suspects,
I
like that one.
Yeah. But, I think I would add to that of just, talk with some of your friends and other people. If you're in, any networking groups or business associations, ask around, talk to people, see who they know, see who they've worked with, and get some referrals that way and try and then weed it down to a couple people, and then talk to a couple people and see who feels like the right fit. And ultimately, at the end of the day, once you're face to face and really kind of deciding who are you going to hire, if you are looking for a part-time or outsourced CFO, I would really recommend you find somebody that has a big focus on the future and being proactive and helping you with projections and like real analysis to inform your business decisions. And there's a big difference between that kind of a person and really a glorified accountant, which is good to have so you understand what happened in the past. But that's not as helpful as somebody that's really focused on planning for the future.
I agreed. Now, I'm at the risk of, I'm just curious. Here's how I've typically looked at it when people have asked me this question. I divide the whole financial picture up into like 4 or 5 different positions, starting with the bookkeeper, then it goes over to the accountant, then it goes over to maybe the tax person, and then eventually like the CFO or maybe a controller before the CFO, but in that realm. And I've often said to people, the bookkeeper puts stuff in QuickBooks, the accountant puts stuff in QuickBooks correctly, the tax person reports what was put in QuickBooks, and the CFO helps you make sure that you don't make any of the mistakes you've made in QuickBooks in the future ever again, and focuses on helping you move things forward. Would that be somewhat accurate in your opinion?
It would be. Yeah, I think that's definitely accurate. There could be more to it than that, because I think if if you're really looking at the whole company, the whole business, from a financial standpoint, it's more than just what's in QuickBooks, though.
Right.
It's also things like sales and marketing dashboards,
Yeah.
and those numbers that are not ever going to be into QuickBooks, but those are like the leading indicators. They're going to tell you what's going to be in QuickBooks in a few months,
Right.
and a good CFO can help you with that stuff too.
Well, and I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad your history is right there. And I love the fact that your business grew out of personal use, and it wasn't like you were trying to become a marketing agency per se. It just happened as a result organically from people going, hey, this guy is obviously good at what he does, and maybe they can, can you just help us do that same thing? So I have a question, though, that I find interesting. Because I know many people listening right now, they are, quote unquote, trying stuff on nights and weekends, which is what you said you were doing. And I'm curious, what was that turning point that made you go, I can't just try stuff on nights and weekends anymore. I have to do more, commit more time to actually making something happen. And as a corollary to that, where did you get the courage to take the leap?
Well, really, it was the company that I was working for. One day was forced to shut its doors. The bank and the company's investors would not give the company any more money, and we had lost so much, and cash flow was so poor that 1 week we realized that we were not going to be able to meet payroll the next week, and there was no option for us to make it happen. And so we had no other decision than to bring all the employees into the main area of the offices and tell them that we were shutting the doors, and that was the end of it. And so for me, that was really the moment that I had to make a decision. It was there. I had to decide right then and there. Do I want to now go start interviewing, or do I want to go out and try and do something on my own? And I had really been itching to do my own thing for quite a while. And was kind of tired of working for other people, to be honest. And so for me, it was just like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. Let's do it.
Yeah,
and
you just lost the job. Might as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I was actually fortunate because I didn't lose my job right away. I was the last man standing at that company, and the bank hired me to stay on for about 3 months to manage the wind down and liquidation and lawsuits and inventory and all that kind of stuff. Which gave me even more time to really think and plan while getting paid still. But that was really the impetus for the whole thing.
Wow. Got it. Okay. And yet from that, even seeing that go down, you still say, well, I want one of my own where I could actually, the same thing there's nothing preventing any one business from going through what you just experienced or had experienced at the previous job, and you were still willing to say, you know what, let me throw my hat in the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've experienced more than just that one business fail. My father's company, his first company that I was working for when I was in college, he had to shut his doors for a very similar reason. A smaller business at the time than the latter one that I was the CFO of. But yeah, I've seen lots of businesses not work out, and it didn't discourage me at all because I felt like, this is what I want to do. And what really is the real risk? For me at the time, I didn't have a family, just me by myself. And so, hey, let's go make it happen. If you're not willing to take risks, then you're not going to get much reward.
Yes, that's very, very true. That's very, very true. So you turn to LinkedIn. How on earth do you go, I know, I'll just start marketing LinkedIn? You get an email from LinkedIn one day in 06 and go, yeah, this is my answer?
No, I joined it originally in 06 just because other people started joining. I get invited to them, and it's turning into this kind of thing. My friends are joining it, so I join it. I'm kind of playing around with all these newfangled online tools like everybody else. And then from there, my buddy Ben and I started using it for business development for a project that we were working on the nights and weekends, and had some success with it. And so then I started using it for the construction company I was the CFO of, and using it for business development for them. And so I was proactively using LinkedIn in 06, 07, 08, building my network and getting meetings with people and all that kind of stuff. And so by the time it was 2010 and I'm out on my own, I already had a playbook pretty much that I knew, and I just had to step on the gas. And when you're targeting business owners, because as an outsourced CFO, I wanted to get in front of business owners that could potentially hire me. I mean, there's no other place to target them as efficiently as you can on LinkedIn.
Right. Well, you bring up a couple of things. One, the targeting aspect, but most importantly, the other thing that I think is really, really relevant, especially for those of you who are of a real estate persuasion to understand. Now, we all can readily admit real estate is still stuck in the dark ages in a lot of ways. I mean, we still use paper, right? So
Yep.
that means inherently a lot of our stuff is done, quote unquote, offline. However, what I just heard you mention, you said that you were using it for a construction company, which is obviously of the real estate persuasion. You're saying an offline company can take advantage of what LinkedIn has to provide.
Absolutely. And sometimes it works even better because, you don't have so many of your competitors also trying to do the same thing, because in old school industries like manufacturing and construction and stuff, it works extremely well, because no one else is doing it.
Yes, they're probably too busy winding down their company, maybe because their CFO said they got to go. Or was that maybe that's the problem?
I hope not. I hope that's not most of them.
But what you're saying though is the leads are. If you're saying that the leads are online and we're not adapting, the business is, well, unfortunately, going away.
Well, potentially. I mean, it's one tool that we have at our disposal. It's not the only thing, and that your business will die if you don't do it. Because there's a lot of different ways that we can go about generating business. I mean, you go look at 10 companies that are similar to mine, and you might find 10 different methods that they're using to successfully grow their business. So there's a lot of different ways you can approach it, but there's a lot of businesses now that are seeing LinkedIn as a great avenue to get in front of prospects, and that they're looking to figure out strategies for making it effective for them.
So, okay, for the people listening who may not be familiar with LinkedIn, because, I mean, if I said the word Facebook, everyone's like, yeah, I got like 12 accounts there. Maybe they may not be as familiar. From your viewpoint, what would you say LinkedIn is, and what's the absolute best way for someone who's a small business owner or thinking of being a solopreneur of any size or kind to be able to begin to use this particular resource?
I think they need to get clear on who they're targeting. And we call that your prospect profile. But getting crystal clear on who it is that you're trying to get in front of and who you want to be doing business with. All right. And if those kinds of people can't be found on LinkedIn, then you need to be thinking about who are the potential referral partners that you need to develop relationships with that could be, cash cows for years to come as they refer you to their clients over and over again. All right. And so, because that's the thing, a lot of people just join LinkedIn because they hear like you're supposed to be on it and everyone's on it and that's where it's at for business and social media, this and that. Right. And so they join it and they're like doing stuff, but they don't have a real clear plan, But if you go into it informed with a really clear profile of who you're trying to target, then that will inform other things that you can do on LinkedIn, including the groups you want to join, how you're going to search for those people. What kinds of messages you want to put in front of them, all the way down the line.
Got it. Okay, so then let's detour here for a quick second. And one of the techniques that we're often teaching those in the Cashflow Diary community is how to use what we call coins or center of influence networking strategies. And for example, one of the places where we as real estate investors can often find deeply discounted properties, and this one is pretty, it's out there, but is simply public adjusters. Like if I could get in front of a group of public adjusters who are out there adjusting claims when buildings burn, commercial or single family or what have you, they're the ones who are typically the first to know that owner wants to sell the building. So they make killer referral sources. What I hear you saying is if I gave you that information, you can go find the group of public adjusters on LinkedIn and we can go out there and begin to buy some more property?
Yeah, absolutely. So is it adjuster spelled with an E or an O? I'm doing a search right now on LinkedIn just to see what
Oh, this
comes
is
up.
awesome. E.
E, yeah. So public adjuster.
Uh-huh.
I've got roughly 1,900 people on LinkedIn that I can target just in a 2-second search that I looked up. And these are people, New York State, people in Missouri,
Nice.
Philadelphia,
Nice.
licensed public adjuster, chief public adjuster, titles like that. They're just, all over the U.S. So there's low-hanging fruit right there.
That if you only knew. For all of you listening, I hope you're listening and moving at the speed of instruction today. Okay, so then basically I could do this with any professional that we tend to network with. So if I wanted to look up, say, the probate and or estate attorneys, or if I wanted to look up the dentists, we have such great success with dentists, doctors, etc.
Yep.
as clients and investors. It's ridiculous. You're saying,
Yep.
So basically any of the professional titled licensed individuals are going to be the easiest to find in a LinkedIn world.
Absolutely. You can pull them up, get their picture. There are all sorts of information about their business, oftentimes their contact information. I just did a search for dentists, people that are currently dentists, and there's 127,000 on LinkedIn that I have access to here. And the thing is, though, like, I want to be candid with people. Like, there's certain types of people that they're not just like hanging out on LinkedIn all day long. Like, dentists are not the kind of people that are logging into LinkedIn 5 times a day. They're probably a little bit more like you, Jay. Logging into it every once in a while, maybe sometimes rarely, right? But here's the thing, though. When you get connected with them and when you understand how to get a message in front of them, they will eventually see it. And a message that you send to somebody that hits their LinkedIn inbox usually also gets CC'd and ends up in their normal email inbox. Unless somebody goes into LinkedIn and changes their settings, that's the case. So if you figure out the 3 or 4, prominent strategies for getting a message to a specific person on LinkedIn, then that message is going to be sitting in their LinkedIn inbox and it's going to be in their normal email.
Josh,
so whether or not they log in, they're going to see that information.
You realize what's happening right now, right?
Is your mind blown?
I'm getting very, very excited. So
awesome,
because there's that we've had great success. For example, some of our best students have been engineers. I don't know why. My wife was asking me, like, is that another engineer? I'm like, yeah, I don't know why. But for whatever reason, they've been able to be very successful with our educational materials. And one, in fact, managed to, in his 30s, was able to walk away from his job last year because of
awesome.
that. And because I know that, I'm like, I want more people like him, which is code for really saying I want more engineers. And you're saying I could take, so basically any professional credentialed individual that we have success with, we can go find more of those specifically and invest marketing time, dollars, and resources that direction. Now, okay, yep. So let me ask this question. If you're doing the LinkedIn thing, and again, mind you, understand, I am the novice when it comes to this online stuff and marketing and strategy, because we're, real estate. We still deal with paper. Are there organic ways of doing it as well as paid ways to do it if you wanted to do it faster, etc., to be able to find the person? How does that work? All right, guys. As you can tell, I am learning a lot right now, and hopefully you are too. I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand that one of the most important things that we are all doing right now is learning how to build our cash flow. Most importantly, going out there to find our customer. I know it seems a little weird. Maybe I can find the customer on LinkedIn, but I know a number of you are out there are trying to figure out where the capital is going to come from. And I'm just here to tell you, I'm learning so many new things as I interview these great entrepreneurs. I hope you're out there doing the same thing, building your business, figuring it out, and making it happen. Here's the thing I want to share with you. Keep growing. Don't stop, because there's a lot that we can continue to learn together.
Absolutely. Yep. There's really like those are the two sides to the coin for the most part. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can use LinkedIn. But primarily there's the organic strategies to where you're going to be just putting in sweat equity using LinkedIn to manually reach out to people, send messages, things like that, connect with people. And then there's the paid advertising side where you can target the same kind of people and put an offer in front of them in mass. All right. And so typically that's best done if you have some piece of content to show them so that they click through to your website and check out this content or sign up for some sort of a white paper report, a webinar, things like that. So for people that aren't producing content, the advertising play probably doesn't make as much sense. But for those that are, it works really well.
Interesting. So, okay, that you bring up a subject. Who is the person that can, from a business owner standpoint, who should be using LinkedIn? And are there any particular people who like, you know what, LinkedIn is not the place for you?
Well, it depends. I mean, if your prospects can be found on LinkedIn, then you should be considering, whether it's a place that you want to invest some time and money into, because, I mean, for most people that I talk to, especially if you're B2B, business to business, like LinkedIn is probably like the number one place that you should be focusing your efforts online. All right. But it depends. Every business is different, So like if you want to give me an example or two, I can give you some more specific thoughts.
Okay. So if I wanted a dry cleaner, I'm making that one totally up. I'm thinking, but I just don't understand if LinkedIn would be an advantage if that's the type of business or some sort of franchise owner.
No.
Yeah, no. Okay.
No. Dry clean. If you own a dry cleaning business, LinkedIn is not the place for you. The only play you have on LinkedIn is to potentially reach out to people in the media, on the radio, TV, bloggers in your local area, to get press and publicity for your business, because it's a great place to connect with people like that to just get free PR. I love LinkedIn for that purpose for B2C companies. But a dry cleaning company is not going to want to go on LinkedIn and advertise or try and connect with potential people to have them come in and, drop off their shirts. It's just not really the right venue for that kind of stuff.
Got it. Okay. All right. So then are you really saying it's best for B2B and B2C doesn't have a place there, or is there some B2C that could work there?
Yeah, some B2C can work. All right. So you got to think about it, though, of not like acquiring a customer through LinkedIn, but the kinds of relationships that can acquire you many customers. Right. So like if you are, let's say you've got a consumer product and you've got a dog collar that you're manufacturing. You're not going to go on LinkedIn and reach out to people and ask them if they want to buy a single dog collar for their dog at home. But you might reach out to potential wholesalers and distributors that might want to carry your product, or reach out to retailers that might be interested in carrying your product. And again, reach out to people in the press that might want to write about your company. Things like that make total sense for B2C.
Okay. So let's talk about it from an investor's perspective, because again, you're hitting back on the ways that I love to find properties and I love to get in front of investors is for syndications and all the other stuff that we do. If someone was wanting to put together let's go the other side. Now what I'm looking at is I want to build another, an apartment building, or I want to get another cell phone tower. These are all things that we've done. So, we want to put the capital together, and that's again it's a very one person focused more than it is, I need a number of people to market on my behalf. Does that sound like a use or no?
So essentially to use LinkedIn to try and find potential investors?
Yes.
So, really what it boils down to is that
like if I was doing a
LinkedIn
startup, if I wanted to do a startup or something, any business that needs investors for the capital and is like ready to go out there, is LinkedIn the place, or should we be looking somewhere else?
Yeah, LinkedIn has the most affluent demographic of any of the major social networks. All right, and way more than like Facebook, for example. And there are specific ways to find the types of people that you're looking for. So it just depends though on having enough information to know more or less what is the general criteria of the type of person who could be in a position to give you some money and want to invest in whatever your deal is, whether it's, property, a cell phone tower, or what have you. And there's a lot of different ways to go about reaching out to those people. And it could be done through paid ads that position some sort of an opportunity in front of them, or it could be through direct messaging behind the scenes. It could be by reaching out to financial advisors and telling them about it and saying, if you got any clients that you think would be interested in this, things like that.
Josh, if you keep talking much longer, we're going to be done. And I'm going to be like on LinkedIn and doing stuff because you have no idea how exciting this is. Go ahead.
Awesome, man. No, that's really pretty much it in a nutshell.
Well, the thing is it doesn't get the press, at least the press that I look at doesn't talk about LinkedIn, not the way that you're talking about it right now, which is why this is good to get a quote unquote insider's perspective of like, look, here's how you can use this thing and here's who you can find. Provided keywords, it sounds like I have to be really, really clear. Like I've been able to give you some very specific examples, especially from our business, because again, I know who our customer is, where you like, that person's here and this person isn't. But that's potentially hyper exciting. So for the person who's maybe they want to write a book, or they're a coach or an author, or sorry, I said that twice. Book, author, same thing. Being able to get started is maybe they aren't quite sure. They're kind of like you. You had a very hyper specific skill set, and you were trying to attract people to you, because we've talked about how LinkedIn can be used to go hunt down the individuals. Is there a way to, fish, so to speak, and have them come to you instead?
Yeah. If you've got good stuff to share with other people, content, and you can engage in discussions in LinkedIn groups, for example, like there's a lot of ways to use LinkedIn to get people to come to you. So for example, if you're an author, speaker, a coach, something like that, there's a good chance you've got a blog and you've got content you're sharing and you've got something to say on your subject matter expertise. So sharing that content into all the LinkedIn groups you're a member of is like such low-hanging fruit, but so few people actually do it. So on LinkedIn, you can be a member of up to 50 groups. There are over 2 million that exist, and you can find groups on anything you want. And you'll basically, the play is to join the groups that your prospects are in, not your competitors. So that's a big mistake people make, right? They'll the accountant will join lots of accounting groups. Well, none of the business owners they're trying to reach are hanging out in those groups. You know what I mean? So join.
I hope not. Yes, I get it. I got it.
Yeah. So find the groups that your potential customers, your clients are hanging out at. Join those groups, and then once or twice a week, share one of your articles into the group. Okay. And like literally the groups that I'm personally in total, there are over 2 million people in those groups. Okay. And now when I share an article into the group, or I post a comment, or I pose a question to the group to start a discussion, not all of them see it, right? But it definitely generates a decent amount of clicks. All right. So it's a great way to get, inbound traffic to your website, which then gets people joining your email list or reaching out to you to learn more, all those kinds of things. And then, of course, you can use LinkedIn ads to do the same thing, right? And it's just, the sky's the limit depending on what your budget is. You can put the right kind of content in front of the right kind of people and generate leads all day long using LinkedIn ads and sponsored updates.
Okay, so that I'm clear, you said we could be a member of 50 groups. Does that mean can you like run a group, or do you have to join?
Yep.
You can only join an existing group.
You can create your own group, absolutely, and that's really one of the. It's an advanced strategy that requires a higher level of commitment because it takes time to create, manage, and grow a group, and continually moderate it and make sure there's good content in it, engaging discussion. But it's one of the most powerful strategies that LinkedIn affords us because it's such a great way to position yourself as a real leader in your space and keep your name in front of people on literally a daily basis, because all the members of your LinkedIn group they're going to be getting these email digests of activity that come through. You see, because LinkedIn sends out emails to all the group members, letting them know what's happening in the groups they're part of. And it happens, they get these digests either weekly or daily, depending on their settings. And you can turn them off too. But what we find is that most people are getting them either daily or weekly. And so your name is just hitting people's inboxes constantly when you're the one that's running the group.
Got it.
And yeah.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, like all right, so now I'm thinking I'm out there. I want to attract investors. I want to buy more property. I want to what have you. So you're saying join. So for example, I mentioned, I'll say, let me think of another group of centers of influence. Chiropractors, really great referral sources, really great. Okay, so I join a group of chiropractors and share the same articles that I'm already creating for other things with them, and then they click on it and go to my website. That's really, that's like that doesn't sound too complicated, Josh.
No, it's really not that complicated, and as long as that content and that those articles are actually relevant to them, right? So if you create an article that's just for chiropractors of how chiropractors can do X, Y, and Z, well, don't share that into just don't share that into a group for dentists. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But if it's content that's relevant to all of your groups, if it's more generic in nature, then absolutely share it into all of them, and that can be done really efficiently too. So with the LinkedIn share widget on your website or from the LinkedIn homepage, you can click the little LinkedIn share button and tell it which groups to push all the content out into. So it can take you 30 seconds to set it all up so that it just pushes out your content to all of your groups.
All right. Why do I get the feeling that we are just barely scratching the surface?
There's a lot you can do with LinkedIn. And we've covered a lot already in a short amount of time. And so I would tell people, like, don't feel like you have to do all of this. The great thing about it is that you can just pick one or two of the things we've talked about and start doing those things and see some really good success, and then keep kind of building it out from there.
Okay, well then let me ask the devil's advocate question. If LinkedIn's so great, how come we hear more about Facebook? Help me understand. What am I missing? What don't I know?
Well, Facebook's got more people on it.
Well,
and
sure. At the moment, I guess.
Yeah, well, they have over 1 billion people. Facebook has over 350 million as of right now, so it's like a third the size, roughly. But it's a more niche play because it's a business network. It's not an everybody network, right? And so naturally, more people are going to talk about Facebook. And Facebook's this exciting, really public company. LinkedIn's publicly traded as well. But Mark Zuckerberg's this big celebrity, always on TV, so people are always talking about it. And because, frankly, there's a lot of great stuff you can do on Facebook. We spend a lot of money on Facebook ads. I'm in Facebook probably just as much as I'm in LinkedIn, to be completely candid with you. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, for some reason, one of them is better than the other. They're just two different places that kind of serve different types of markets.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like they have similar functionality, I'm assuming, probably different names for the same types of activities and things, yet they just attract two completely different people, is what I'm hearing. So, which I guess if my customer is maybe, say their demographic is under 30, is LinkedIn now the place for me, or should I go somewhere else?
If your demographic is under 30 years old. So there's a lot of people in that age range that are on LinkedIn. Because in terms of advancing your career, which is, most people are not using LinkedIn for business development. They're using it to try and move their career forward, right? So that they can be found by potential recruiters, HR managers, and things like that, or to actively seek out a new job, right? And so there's lots of younger people that are on LinkedIn. Absolutely. Like, I'm 34. So, I know lots of people that are in their 20s that I'm good friends with, and they're all on LinkedIn.
Got it. Okay. Hey, I'm just asking the questions that I think everyone else is thinking, and I'm like, I know so little about it.
Yep.
One of the other things that I've heard a lot about is this concept, because when we start talking about marketing and getting in front of people, obviously that that costs some things. But I've also heard of this concept of remarketing or retargeting, etc. Does
Yep.
LinkedIn do that as well?
LinkedIn has a very expensive retargeting solution that is only available for big companies, and it has a big price tag to it. It's a minimum $25,000 a quarter spend,
Oh my God.
and the CPM is anywhere from $4 to $8 on that network, which is high. Which is, I mean, so you're talking about $7 a click plus. Is what it kind of boils down to, and so we stay away from that. but what is really effective though is using everything else on LinkedIn to drive people to landing pages that have retargeting scripts installed to then follow those people around everywhere else they're hanging out on the internet, like Facebook and Google. So you can drive people from LinkedIn to other landing pages that have those pixels placed on them so that you can then retarget them everywhere else.
Got it. And I think right now, at this moment, you and I just exceeded somebody's expertise and they just like, I have no idea what they're talking about anymore. But so I'm also aware that you have a number of resources that you provided that we might be able to take advantage of if we wanted to, we'll say, up our LinkedIn game and actually begin to make this work. Could you share with us how we could find out some more?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Jay, the best thing for your folks to dive a little bit deeper into this would be for them to sign up for one of our free webinars that we have coming up. And you can go to linkedwebinar.com, not LinkedInwebinar.com, linkedwebinar.com, and sign up for one of those. And that's a webinar called How to Create a Massive Referral Network. All right. And so it'll walk you through step by step how to do all the things we talked about today, including where to find these prospects, the right way to message them, and then how to stay in front of them over time. So it's really good stuff for anybody that wants to dive deeper into all this.
Excellent. And as we wind down here, let's pretend for a second someone is, in that stage where they're thinking about putting on their superhero outfit for the first time. Maybe they're standing in front of the superhero costume store right now, and they're like, I think I want a cape and maybe a mask, and oh my gosh, am I going to really be able to save and help people with my product or service? But they're still feeling a little bit, a little trepidation, a little fear, will it work for me? Will I be able to find my customers? Will people buy my stuff? What would you say to that person, Josh?
Oh man, I think you just got to go for it. Like there's always doubts. Like, I mean, I have doubts to this day. Like anyone that tells you that they're not, sometimes doubting, facing that same kind of like anxiety and pessimism, I think is really not being truthful or is just got, veins of steel. You just got to go for it. There's no other option than just to go for it. And you know what? If the first time work out, like use that as a learning experience for the next time. And eventually you'll understand your customer well enough that you'll be able to package your offer and your presentation in such a way that you'll get your fair share of deals. And sometimes it can just take time, but sometimes it happens right away. But you never know unless you just go for it.
That agreed 100%. Well, I definitely appreciate that you literally pouring in your secrets here with us at the Cashflow Diary so that we can now go out there to begin to consider a completely different alternative, I'm sure, than many of us were thinking before, to go out there to build our businesses, buy some more property, find our customers, and make some things happen. Thank you again very, very much for your investment here with the Cashflow Diary.
Absolutely. It's been a lot of fun, Jay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is? It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean? It means you need to go sign up for a webinar today, because I know I'm thinking that that's exactly what we're going to do. I can't wait to tell the rest of the team, hey guys, what did I just learn? What we can do, because I had no clue. And that's one of the reasons why you got to keep coming back, because you never know what you're going to learn. I never know what I'm going to learn. The point is that we can learn from everyone if we're willing to accept the fact that we don't know everything just yet. It's been fun talking to you guys today, and I do look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.